Ahoy boy, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to give you guys an update. I bet you guys are wondering how my impersonator on Instagram is doing. Now I noticed something between my video on TikTok and my video on YouTube over a week ago. And it's like, for some reason I kept fucking up the handle. I kept saying LynMD83 when it's actually LynMD1983. That's my impersonator. I'm known as LynMD1982. Person is still not banned yet, but I did have one victory, and that was I was able to get Instagram to remove the copyright photo from my impersonator's page. So, small victory for me. I don't know why that wasn't enough for them to also get banned, because I think it was just the copyright claim. They focused on the copyright problem. It was funny though, because while I was doing my video over a week ago, I keep saying last week, but it's been over a week ago. I hadn't heard back from them yet, and then after I finished the video, I got the first message that said, "Oh, sorry, despite you giving us your passport," even though some stuff was taken out of it, and your YouTube channel, which has some videos where I talk about my book, let alone a playlist where I actually read from my book, and a picture of me holding my book, despite me giving them all this. Oh yeah, and I think the link to my book on Amazon. Yeah, I gave them that too. So despite doing all that, I got a message initially saying, yeah, we still don't think you are who you say you are. We don't still think you're the author or an owner of this picture. And I'm like, okay. So I messaged my lawyer, and I said, get ready to come in because Instagram is giving me problems about not removing this copyrighted photo from my impersonator's page. And then, funny enough, a minute later, after I got this message from Instagram, I got another message from them saying, we realize that you are who you say you are, therefore we're going to remove the copyrighted photo. So, small victory for me. Be great if they ban my impersonator, but considering I blocked them in all their accounts, they can't really see anything of my page anyway. And so I think they're going to run out of material what to steal. Yes, they could go to Google and Google my name, but the photos that come up, I think, are basically the same videos that are already on her page anyway. Because I think a lot of people realize she's impersonating me, especially when you look at the videos that she took from me that I made on TikTok. My handle's on there, and it says 82 and not 83 on there. So, but she hasn't said anything on her page since January 23rd. So we'll see. I mean, if she doesn't knock it off, I'm probably going to send another report again. Tell them who I am. Give them the same passport picture as I did before. And we'll see if they act on it. Because they didn't act on it because they got so many reports. I think I said that in the last video. Which, okay, whatever. I'm patient. I can wait. I can wait to strike. So, yeah. Do not worry, I'm not sick. My husband's acting up. So, because it was cold here late last week, earlier this week. Had a lot of snow. It's probably up to my ankles, at least. And by the way, the kids don't get off from that. And, actually it might have been my shin, too. At least it covered my foot. Yeah. I don't drive in snow. We're not really trained to drive that much in snow in Maryland. Especially since the amount that we get here is enough to basically declare an emergency. A level 4 emergency, which is basically only emergency personnel is on the road. You can't be on the road yourself if you don't have a very essential job to do. But here, people go about as if it's nothing. For the last... Hold on, I'm trying to do math on my fingers. Okay. I've been living here for nearly 17 years. And I have never seen a time where they close down the schools or businesses for snow. That's how much of harasses they are here when it comes to snow. But then again, they have to be because, sometimes when we get like a really bad winter, I think it was 2010 or 2011, like, you can get freezing temperatures and the snow will not melt for 3 months. You will not see the ground for 3 months. So, of course, they have to continue because if they don't continue, things will become bad for them. So, yeah. Whereas in Maryland, I would say it's between a mild to moderate winters most of the time. Get a nice blizzard once in a while. But yeah. So we just don't have the resources to keep the roads clear as well as they do here in Sweden. So, but speaking of which, this is the first day that my daughter went back to school. She's been sick since Sunday. Nothing major. She just had a fever, sore throat, runny nose, was coughing a little bit. It had eased up yesterday. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Until I go back to school in the fall, I'm going to try to work as a barista at Espresso House. My initial plans were to find a job in my village, especially because I can walk to it, especially when it snows. But there's not really anything here. And what is here, I'm not qualified to do. Or I don't have the education to do it. So, and I kind of miss being a barista. Oddly enough, I do. I love making coffee drinks. I used to work at Starbucks. I was kind of hoping Starbucks would be in Sweden when I moved to Sweden. But back in 2006, there were no Starbucks yet in Sweden. If there were, I was living too far away to work there. And the closest one to me with Espresso House is about 25 minutes away. And the bus does go there. So I'm thinking about working there. Probably going to need a shitload of training. And I'm not really too concerned about the Swedish part because one of the first things I picked up fast when I not only visited here the first 3 years before I moved here, but like, I pick up food really quick. And coffee beverages here are almost identical to what it is in English. So, you just have to hit the inflections a certain way. Of course, I keep fucking up the word espresso because for some odd reason, for a long time, even though I know it was spelled with E-S-P, my mind or my mouth insert an X between E and S. I can't explain it. Like, I add letters to words when I know the letter is not there. It's really weird. So, I've also decided what I'm going to major in, in order to get work in disaster preparedness. That is, if I don't fall in love with my job too much at Espresso House, where I don't want to leave it. But like, the thing that I decided to major in was geography. And I know that seems kind of weird, but geography is a good field to study in if you want to be in disaster preparedness, especially natural disasters. Because you learn about the topography of stuff. Like, for example, I can give you an example right now. Tornadoes. Common in the U.S., especially in the Midwest. Not so much in Sweden. Well, For starters, Sweden has a very hilly or mountain topography. So it's kind of hard for a vortex to keep its shape on a hill, whether it's going up or going down. The only time it would be a problem is if, say, a tornado would develop on a flat area. And there's a few flat areas in Sweden that it could actually keep its shape for a while. But most of the time, the tornadoes that do come to Sweden, I say that as if they came here on a plane. The tornadoes that do hit Sweden are usually EF1s, which is very weak. They usually do damage to trees and some damage to outdoor furniture and stuff. Maybe take off a shingle from a house. They don't do the big major stuff like you would see in EF5s that, the Midwest typically gets in the U.S. And another thing, too, is that Sweden's not really a big hotbed for moisture. Well, we do have some humidity. It's not as high as you can get in a lot of places in the U.S. And the thing that tornadoes actually feed on is actually the same thing that hurricanes feed on, which is moisture. So, in order for a storm to continue, whether if it's a hurricane or a tornado, you need a lot of moisture. And you don't have that a lot in Sweden. And the thunderstorms, too, typically produce heat lightning, not the zigzag lightning, although that does happen once in a while. I think it was October, last year that we actually had a storm here. I heard thunder, but I don't think I ever saw the lightning, so it was weird. But yeah, I mean, that's how geography can factor into disaster preparedness, because I could tell them, okay, while some areas in Sweden will be safe from tornadoes, these areas might be more prone, especially if things start to get a lot warmer around Sweden during the summertime, like last year. Then I could say, well, during a tornado, you don't want to be near windows. You don't want to be, obviously, outside. If you're outside, it is safer to be in the ditch than to try to be in an underpass. That kind of thing. And Sweden doesn't have much of a volcano threat at the moment. Not that there's any volcanoes in Sweden. So a geographer is good in that area, and because other things you factor in, and particularly since there's now two different types of geography degrees. You got a geography degree that involves people, and then you got a geography degree that's just physical geography, and I'm planning to do physical geography. So yeah. And like I said, the only way I wouldn't do that is if I like my job too much at Espresso House if I start working there. I don't plan on working there or applying until at least the end of next month because my daughter has a lot of appointments coming up in the next month related to psychology. So she's suspected of something, but I don't want to go into it until, we know for sure. And then I can say something. Pretty much how it is with my diagnosis and stuff, since I'm going back to my psychiatrist on Monday to double check my diagnosis, even though no one has challenged it in over a year because she left it unsigned. In Sweden, a lot of doctors have access to your medical records because you don't have one particular doctor. You see various people. And, even though in psychology you typically see one person mainly, other people can still read your stuff, especially if it's unsigned. And if someone disagrees with your diagnosis, they can challenge it. Well, she second-guessed herself, so she wants a second opinion to double-check to see that I have what I have, which I think is good, So, yeah. So, we'll see if I still have what I had, And I don't know if I'll talk about it or anything. I mean, sometimes I get brave enough where I want to talk about it, but then I balk at the idea, and I'm like, maybe not. Because, my diagnosis is on a spectrum that's still stigmatized, so, yeah. Well, that's it for today. If you like this video, smash the like button. If you subscribe, I'll be absolutely delighted. Sorry it took me over a week to do a video, so hopefully I can get a video up within a week from today. See you guys later. Toodles.